One of the reasons I moved out here was to ski. I can be in Loveland on the hill in 50 minutes from my house. If I was in a place where I had a short room or the afternoon canceled, I could drive home, throw my gear in the car, and be on the hill at Loveland by 1 o'clock. Well, I think that for me doing chronic pain, most of the people I've seen have seen 10 to 15 doctors already. I'm Paul Leo. I am a physician at the Center for Spine and Orthopedics. I am an anesthesiologist trained in pain management and regenerative medicine. I had one patient who recently, young woman who's in vet school, who came in and she's been told all her life she has fibromyalgia, and literally walking out the door, she did something totally wacky with the joints of her hands and her fingers. Looked like she just slammed her hand in a car door. And I was like, oh God, stop that. She goes, oh, that doesn't hurt, I can do that all the time. And so her diagnosis went from fibromyalgia to Ehler-Danlos syndrome. And then she went home, looked it up, and realized that that's what she and her mother both have. And it explains all kinds of things that have been going on with her. But if I hadn't taken an hour and 15 minutes and had one patient storm out because I made them wait, I would never have come up with that. And, the person who left, when I see them, I spend the time I need to with them. For me to look at someone, listen to what they have to say, listen to what's been done, diagnose the problem, and come up with, gosh, no one's ever said that before, or no one's ever thought of that before, or why didn't my doctor 5 years ago think of that? The only way to take care of these people is to spend the time to listen to what they have to say. You listen to people, you put the pieces together, and then you try to find the answer, and then it turns into Sherlock Holmes. That's really what this is all about. If you're gonna find a way to help someone, you've got to have the right diagnosis before you apply the treatment. And I've always been lucky enough to be in a place where I could get outdoors. My parents took us to some great places in the summers. So my dad would sit out with me and we'd look at the sky. The best sky I've ever seen, I think, is at Bryce Canyon. And there's enough light on a moonless night, there's enough light to see what you're doing immediately. There was no acclimation, nothing, and you just look up and the Milky Way is just like that, like you would see it in an astronomy magazine picture or something, and it was tremendous. You go out at night, you can see it, but you gotta go look for it. I kind of look back and wonder why I didn't end up being an astronaut or an engineer or doing aeronautics or aerospace or something like that. I also look back and wonder, with my interest in martial arts and in acupuncture and things, why after medical school I didn't go to China for a year or two, because in 1985 I would have been one of the first to go do it and go learn acupuncture there and start to tie those things together. Because 25 years ago, you talk to someone about acupuncture and they're a doctor, they tell you you're a quack. Now it's paid for by insurance. Learned to play ball early, and I've played senior baseball here basically from 1995 until a year or two ago. When I was a little kid, I saw my grandfather sitting in his house looking out the window, listening to one of those old transistors with a tripod on it, before games were on TV every day, and he was scoring the game. And he was an old Dodger fan. My mother was an old Dodger fan. They grew up watching, or my mom grew up watching Jackie Robinson playing stuff. And it must have been important that this guy is sitting there doing this stuff, and started taking me to ball games, and that's why I enjoy baseball the way I do. When I first moved out here, I saw a woman who was a little old Italian lady from Brooklyn, and I had just come from New York. And I did some pain work for her, and she got better and went away. And a couple years later, she came back with new chest wall pain, which was very disturbing to me because she had had lung cancer taken out in the interim, and it turned out being metastatic disease. And we sent her home with a morphine pump, which was really kind of advanced for the day unless you were a cancer patient, so she could go die at home. And she just looked at me and said, "You done good, kid." And from a little old lady in Brooklyn, there is no higher praise. The idea that you done good, kid. If you could take 10 you done good kids and pay the mortgage with it, you don't need the money. Because that's really what it's about. Dr. Leo saved my life. After dealing with unbearable pain for almost 2 years and dealing with doctors who couldn't find an answer, I finally found Dr. Leo, and my life has done a 180. When I went to my first appointment with Dr. Leo, I expected to be let down and treated like a drug seeker, but what I found couldn't have been further from the truth. He spent almost 2 hours working to figure out what could be causing my symptoms. He came up with a diagnosis that explains every problem I've ever had and is working with me to manage my pain. He's given me my life back. I couldn't be more grateful to Dr. Leo.